All right, folks, let's dive into the hot topic of the week. Sir Keir Starmer's economic plan for Britain and why it's stirring up quite the controversy. First off, let's talk tax hikes. Starmer is gearing up to outline Labour's economic strategy, which includes some hefty tax increases. The idea is to tackle what Labour calls a dire economic situation left by the previous government. However, critics are quick to point out that this narrative overlooks some positive economic indicators like strong G7 growth and stable inflation. So what's fueling these proposed tax hikes? Well, it seems to be linked to the government's decision to grant inflation-busting pay raises to public sector workers. This move was intended to prevent strikes, but here's the kicker. It's not quite working as planned. The ASLEF union, for example, has announced further industrial action despite getting a no-strings-attached pay deal. Now critics argue that Labour's approach of appeasing unions with generous pay deals without demanding productivity improvements is misguided. They believe this will harm the economy, discourage investment, and ultimately hurt the very people Labour claims to be helping. Moving on to unions, there's growing evidence that Labour's strategy has emboldened them to make increasingly demanding requests. The Trades Union Congress is pushing for a substantial £27 billion to restore public sector pay to 2011 levels, and other unions are making demands too, like allowing workers to cease work during heat waves. Critics warn that these rising union demands could exacerbate the UK's existing worklessness crisis. Instead of addressing critical issues like the prison crisis, violent crime, immigration concerns, and the struggling NHS, Labour seems to be focusing on appeasing unions. This approach, according to critics, will ultimately harm the economy and hinder national progress. And then there's the broader picture. Starmer's argument that tax increases are necessary to address the rot deep in the heart of Britain is met with scepticism. Critics argue that raising taxes on investment, pensions, property or wealth won't solve the UK's problems. Instead, they believe it will stifle economic growth and make the UK an unattractive place for ambitious individuals and families. Labour might try to shift the blame onto the Conservatives for the need for these tax hikes, but this tactic could only be effective in the short term. If Labour's national overhaul continues to involve burdensome economic policies, the consequences could be significant. In conclusion, critics warn that Labour's leftward shift and embrace of socialist policies could ultimately harm the UK. These policies, they argue, will stifle economic growth, discourage investment, and make the country a less desirable place to live and work. What do you think? Are these tax hikes a necessary evil to fix Britain's economy, or are they a step in the wrong direction? And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates on this evolving story.